temporary foreign workers numbers are almost identical to the unemployed youth statistics. What
Mm-hmm.
does that tell you? What's
Well,
happening right now? So not only does it mean that the unskilled migrant to this country is it becomes like a net taker on the system, but it also forces other Canadians who could be gainfully employed to be net takers to the system also. We've got oh God. Before I even click this link, I know it's the Star. Yeah. Toronto Star found a way to shoehorn more immigrants into the Team Canada approach to fighting Donald Trump on tariffs. So the one thing that has really driven the cost of living outside of Justin Trudeau's overspending and the carbon tax has been his out of control immigration levels and the burden that places on housing, our roads, our infrastructure, our healthcare system, our social safety net, our schools, all of that. All those things that you're like, why am I waiting in line for 10 years?
mm-hmm.
Why are there 50 kids in my grade 2 class for my 7-year-old? That's
Yep.
Justin Trudeau's immigration targets. Why does
Yes, it
the
is.
house that cost 300,000 4 years ago now cost 700,000? It's
Mm-hmm.
immigration.
Mm-hmm.
But Toronto Star knows how we need to fight Donald Trump, and that is to successfully fight Trump. Canada needs one thing: more Canadians.
Nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That list of things that you just talked about, Sheila, I experience in my everyday life,
I
every
know.
single one of them in my everyday life, and I can say that the last thing that Canada needs, especially to fight Trump, is more Canadians that aren't actually Canadians. They are these are refugees and permanent residents. How is that going to help? How is that going to help? Diluting our labor force further.
Right, driving wages down.
Yes.
Uh, they write the federal government's decision to cut immigration targets by 21% in 2025 and 24% in 2026 after the conservatives started talking about immigration targets was a grave mistake. Alarmingly, the consequences are rearing their ugly head at the worst possible time. By reducing immigration levels, this is according to the Toronto Star, Canada's facing the economic fight of our lives with one arm tied behind our back. This is a moment when we should be projecting strength and growth, yet instead we've chosen to shrink. And unfortunately for us, this policy shift is occurring at the same time as another major demographic headwind, the retirement of 5 million Canadians by the end of the decade. Okay, that would make sense. That argument would make just a tiny bit of sense if we were importing people into this country who are high income earners who are of a benefit to the economy. But by and large, that's not who we're importing into the country. We are not
If
replacing the retiring workforce, my friends.
we're importing unskilled workers.
Yes.
Unskilled workers. Yes. This is the dichotomy of the entire thing. I mean, when's the last time you went to a retail store that had regular Canadians working in it? They just don't exist anymore. When's the last time you went to a Tim Hortons and had your order right and had somebody talk to you in English? I mean, it just doesn't happen anymore. And this is the terrible betrayal that the Justin Trudeau government has rained down upon the people of Canada. And not only that, but these are not people that are paying towards our healthcare systems or education or our social safety nets. These are people being artificially supported by the government to be here. If Canadians knew how many of their taxpayers were going towards supporting new immigrants surviving in Canada, where, P.S., they show up and they are shocked by the cost of living. They're
Yes.
shocked by housing unavailability. They're shocked by the terrible by the by the terrible education system that their children are now being exposed to. They're signing up for a lie, and we are paying for it. Canadian taxpayers, we are paying for it. We are
Yeah.
paying for it to our own detriment.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, I'm not against immigrants. but I want the immigrant to come to Canada and hit the ground running. And I want the people who are coming to our country to be a net benefit to the country. I don't think we need any more unskilled workers. I think we have plenty of unemployed Canadian youth who could work at our fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I know that. Not I think that. I know that. I think the numbers are almost identical. Like the temporary foreign workers numbers are almost identical to the unemployed youth statistics. Mm-hmm. What does that tell you? What's happening right now? So not only does it mean that the unskilled migrant to this country it becomes like a net taker on the system, but it also forces other Canadians who could be gainfully employed to be net takers to the system also.
But and then that brings up another point, is that even the skilled workers that come to Canada from somebody else, be they doctors, be they nurses, be they,
their wages are down.
Well, their wages are down, but what does that also do to their home country? We are taking the best and brightest out of third world countries and bringing them to Canada. That does not benefit their home country when we are taking their doctors and their nurses and their skilled workers. This does not help them. This is not in the best interest of Canada nor their home country. We just have to take a good long hard look at our immigration policies as soon as Pierre Poilievre gets in the door and reverse some of the harms that have been done to Canadians. If we ever want a chance of our kids being able to own a home, which right now it is terrifying for kids growing up in Canada, they have no chance ever of buying a home in Canada, and they know it. You want to know why? What is it? 40% of young men between age 18 and 24 would leave for America today, because there is a chance of success for them. There is a chance for them to get a wife, to raise a family, to buy a house, to have a dog, to participate in the American dream. Whereas in Canada, our Canadian dream has been shattered by our federal government.
Yeah, and for a bunch of people who won't shut up about the evils of slavery in 400 years ago. And somehow they want to point to Canadians, Canada being involved in the slave trade, which we definitely weren't. They sure are hell bent on creating a slave underclass of Canadian, aren't they?
Yes,
that's what they're doing. They're bringing in a slave underclass of temporary foreign workers to work entry-level jobs until they die.
How many times have you heard liberal supporters or leftists say, well, Canadians are too good to work. They won't work the retail jobs. They won't.
Who will cut the grass? I don't know, 13-year-olds?
Baloney. This is we've done it up until this point, and all of a sudden you make it seem like we're too good to do the work that has to get done to make our country beautiful and prosperous. Absolutely untrue. But this is what they support. This is absolutely what they support, while also harming the home countries by taking their most skilled, most valuable workers and bringing them to Canada. This is what they do.
Fast food is a job for teenagers and retirees. And that's what it used to be.
And now it is nearly 100% new Canadians that are doing this work. It's actually insulting if you think about it. It's actually really insulting if you think about it.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.